It is time. Baseball is back, ready to begin spring training in Arizona. The defending world champion Los Angeles Dodgers were the first of 29 games in this Cactus League schedule as they travel to Mesa to take on the Oakland A's. And every one of these 29 games will be live right here on Sportsnet LA. With Oral Hershiser, I'm Joe Davis. Glad you're with us. Hope you're having a great Sunday so far. You know, anytime you get into spring training with any game, first game especially, you're wondering who are we actually going to see today. Are we going to see some names that we recognize? And at the top of the order, the answer today is yes. Mookie Betts hitting leadoff. Corey Seager hitting second.
Mookie Betts now some 70 games in a Dodger uniform, including the World Series. Not an MVP in the World Series, but a second-placed MVP player for the Dodgers behind Freddie Freeman. Great to have him back and for a long, long time to come. But speaking of MVPs, the NLCS MVP, the World Series MVP. 2018, the Tommy John surgery, 19 slicing the ball to left for a lot of doubles, but last year at full strength and full capacity.
Well, those guys settled into the lineup last year at 1-2. The Dodgers went 40-13 in the regular season and in the postseason combined. They averaged better than 6 runs per game when those guys hit 1-2. We've got first pitch of Game 1 of spring training coming up on Sportsnet LA. You normally associate with spring training baseball. Just 60 degrees for first pitch, 14-mile-per-hour winds, and chilly as the sun goes down as the day goes on in Arizona. We want to give a very special welcome to the newest member of our crew who is actually in Arizona. Hello to Kirsten Watson.
Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate that. You said it. It is a beautiful but a bit of a windy day here, but we have about 2,000 fans, lots of Dodger blue. That's about 20% of capacity for this stadium. That's what's been approved around for the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League, but lots of excitement. The fans are kind of in pod seating or out in socially distanced areas, but everyone is here and excited to see their World Series champions.
All right, Kirsten, I remember, during the World Series and actually NLCS when they finally let fans in last season, it was very small capacity in Texas that they had, but it felt like 100,000 people were there. When you go from nobody in the stands during the regular season, a very eerie feel for those games, to having just a little something for the postseason, it felt huge. And it's awesome to open up this 21 season, albeit spring training, with some folks in the seats.
The players went through a second adjustment. They had the adjustment of no fans and playing kind of in a bubble, and only the Tier 1 people would be around them, so they weren't used to the daily life of the big leagues that way. But then another adjustment back to when the fans were allowed back in, and even if it's 2,000 or 5,000 or whatever the amount is, the players said it upped the nerves, it upped the excitement and the adrenaline.
What do you say we do lineups? You want to see the lineup?
I want to see the lineup of the world champion Dodgers.
All right, let's take a look at a baseball lineup here for Game 1 that Dave Roberts sends out there. He's got Mookie Betts leading it off and starting in right field. And Corey Seager hitting second as the shortstop. Austin Barnes catches and bats third. Cleanup man is A.J. Pollock. He's in left field today with Beatty at first, Rios at third. Matt Davidson in his first year in a Dodger uniform hit seventh in DHs. Zach McKinstry, a name you're going to hear a lot about this spring. One of the candidates to take over a role similar to what Kike Hernandez had, is a very versatile player. Starting at second today, and then in center field, DJ Peters. Number 1 offense in baseball last year. Faces off with Dalton Jeffries, who makes his spring debut for Oakland. 25 years old, former first-round pick. Made his debut last year, didn't go well. He pitched just 1 game and gave up 5 runs in 2 innings.
Number 1 draft pick that had Tommy John surgery back in 2017. Fully recovered from that now. He'll top out around 95, but in that first big league outing that you mentioned, Joe, he was pitching at 95. So a guy that relies on command probably needs to calm the nerves and just make his pitches and not really have velocity as his top priority.
Outcomes don't matter. Stats don't matter during spring training. You say it a million times over the course of spring training, but it is still, I would imagine, for Dalton Jeffries and all these guys, as they get to play in a game for the first time in a long time, a special day.
Yeah, when you have had 1 big league outing and it was a rough one, and then the first 2 hitters you're going to face that are actual big leaguers again, a couple of MVP pedigrees in Mookie Betts and Corey Seager, yeah, he's looking to get some good results and gain some confidence.
It might be windy, but Fit for a postcard. Light blue skies above as Betts climbs in. And the Dodgers coming off of their first World Championship in 32 years. Open spring training in Mesa today. And off we go with Betts taking strike one from Jeffries. I'm sure you saw last week, Mookie had his first visit with the media. They asked him, how would you grade your first year with the Dodgers? And he said, serviceable, I'd say.
Humbly saying serviceable. I think you guard your own spirit as a player sometimes when you get into the media circles and all of a sudden you know you're going to be living with those quotes for a long time. And so I think some guys really downgrade MVP type performances so that they don't get unmotivated to go after it again.
Swings and misses here, chasing a breaking pitch and a strikeout for Jeffries to begin things.
Slurvy type breaking ball there from Jeffries that got Betts the chase. Attacked him with two fastballs, one away, one up, and then finished him with the breaking ball.
Betts the first out of the day, and up comes Corey Seager. Well, if Betts was the star of the regular season and obviously did great things in the postseason as well, nobody was better in the postseason than this man. Corey Seager won the NLCS MVP and the World Series MVP. As he so often does, goes after the first pitch. Baseball's back, isn't it? Corey Seager hacking to the first pitch, caught it third, and there are two away.
It's almost like for Corey, even with the winner off, the celebration of the World Championship and his MVPs, I see a baseball, I'm going to hit it.
One of the most aggressive guys in the league, not wasting any time there. 2 up and 2 down, and it brings up Austin Barnes.
Corey heard we're playing 7 innings, so he's trying to get it over a little quicker.
Yeah, so that's new this year. Teams can decide the length of the game, 5 to 7 innings over the first couple weeks here. And then you get to the back half of spring training, and they can decide in the 7 to 9 inning range.
And for pitchers, I like the fact that you can flip an inning if the pitcher has thrown 20 pitches if you want. Trying to protect everybody's health.
Barnes slashes one foul, and it's 1-1.
People are like, what are they going to do at 20 pitches if they want? Yeah, bases loaded, 1 out, base loaded, no out, base loaded, 2 out. Change sides.
Yeah. It's like when the video game's not going well, and you just hit the reset button on your big brother, right?
Yeah. Or you can bring in a reliever at that 20, and then the pitcher that you took out of the game can start the next inning.
2-1 on Barnes. I like it, though. I mean, spring training is not about winning or losing the games. It's about getting guys ready for the regular season, and most importantly, keeping everybody healthy. On a 2-1 pitch, Barnes swings and misses, 2-2.
Interesting cutter right there. I mean, cutter slash slider. It was the firmness of a cutter and the break of a hard slider. This is a ridiculous pitch.
So we saw the loopier breaking ball to get Betts, and a little bit tighter there from Dalton Jeffries, who looks to work a 1-2-3 first. Barnes slaps it on the ground to second. Tony Kemp will throw him out. And the inning is over. Dodgers down in order. Mike Kickham gets ready to take the ball. It's open spring training for the Dodgers after this. This one, Dodgers and A's in the Cactus League opener. Let's take a look at the lineup for longtime manager Bob Melvin. Ramon Laureano is so good defensively. Leads things off and plays center field today. Elvis Andrus, weird to see him in a uniform that is not a Texas Rangers uniform. He bats second. Chad Pinder's at third. Mark Hanna is the cleanup man and left fielder, with Mitch Moreland DHing out of the 5 spot. Austin Allen catches. Then Buddy Reed at right. Seth Brown at first. And the second baseman, Tony Kemp. They face off with a guy in Mike Kickham, who's 32 years old, out of Springfield, Missouri. Made his big league debut back in 2013. Pitched for the Giants in 13 and 14. Handful of games. Didn't pitch in the majors again until last year. 5 years exclusively in the minors. Made it back to Boston last year. Did some good things, enough where the Dodgers were attracted to him and brought him in as a non-roster invitee. Pours in strike one.
Fastball, cutter, curveball. You're going to see a lot of breaking balls. Maybe not in the first spring training game, but when he gets into his regular season form, you're going to see the curveball and the cutter an awful lot.
Softly bounced left side. At third, it's Edwin Rios for the running throw. And at first, Beatty makes the catch for out number 1.
Rios will give a tip of the hat to Beatty over there to rescue him a little bit.
Next up, number 17, the shortstop, Elvis Andrus.
And so here is Andrews, who was acquired in a trade for Chris Davis during the offseason. Spent 12 years in a Rangers uniform. Was the next big thing. Was one of the great young players in the game early on in his career. And then injuries started to interrupt things. And they've been an issue the last couple of years. When the Rangers starting to turn things around and trying to get a little bit younger, they made the deal. And here he is as the shortstop for the A's. Doesn't seem like that long ago that he was the young kid coming up in Texas.
This is my 8th year as a broadcaster for the Dodgers. I'm like, Elvis Andrus is getting older?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
He's 32 years of age now. Yeah, the A's won the West last year, and the roster this season is going to look quite a bit different. They have 10 free agents coming off of that team and only bring back 2 of them. Swings and fouls it into the glove, 1-2.
Nice cutter right there. Ball had some real actual cutter movement. That was not as big as a slider and not as hard as a fastball, but that was late and sharp.
Here he comes to the 1-2 pitch. Ooh, try to get that outside corner, just barely missed.
One of the more frustrating things for a pitcher is that borderline pitch that gets called a ball, because it takes so much talent to get that ball at that velocity, that movement, that close to the glove and not get it.
So you want to yell at Ted Barrett. Do you know how hard that is to do, Ted?
You know,
not worth something?
Back in my day, you know, that would be a strike because you got it exactly where you wanted it. I know it was off the plate 3 inches, but the talent it took, that's a strike. And then the one that's on the plate on the opposite side was a ball.
So
because
you missed your spot.
Yeah, the umpire would say,
yeah.
Well, you didn't want to go there.
Right.
You're not getting that.
You don't deserve anything.
Yeah.
No suit for you. A walk and the first base runner of the game comes in the form of Elvis Andrus.
In the mental block of getting what you would perceive as squeezed on the mound, you can't let that get into the next few pitches.
Then as your career goes on, don't you start to get reputation strikes too?
Yeah, it seems like that is. I don't know if that's just the editorial that we add to the facts that we see in front of us, and we just go, oh, that's a good storyline. We'll just go with that.
There's Chad Pinder with 1 on and 1 out. Yeah, there's strike 1. Yeah, you lived it, though. Did you see more reputation strikes as you got deeper into your career? Did you get a bunch of strikes in '89?
You know,
I would never say that. I would say Pete Rose and Frank Thomas and Mike Schmidt and the guys that had unbelievable careers. I'm like, how can you not call that a strike on them?
Well, 0-2. Well, Kickham says he never gave up hope. In 2014, final game in a Giants uniform, he got chased against the Dodgers on a Zach Greinke home run. And, of course, you leave the game there and you think, okay, I'll get my next shot soon. That was 2014. He didn't get back to the majors until last year. He spent some time with an independent team, the Kansas City T-Bones, bounced around to 4 different affiliated organizations. He says thanks to his support from his parents and then all the core things that his parents built in him meant that he never gave up hope. He always thought that he would get back, and he did. It was a long road back, but he found his way there.
I'm having flashes of Rich Hill.
Yeah.
That road back through independent ball.
Now the 0-2. Did he go? No swing, ball 1. Yeah, Rich Hill was with the Long Island Ducks.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it something
Atlantic
like
League?
11 different teams or something? I can't remember. You
It
were
was,
going over
yeah,
his resume.
all
It
the
was
teams.
ridiculous.
Rich is now down in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Signed a contract with the Rays.
Great addition to any roster. Not only the ability on the field, but the person in the locker room and with the team, boy.
And I just thought of this. You made the Rich Hill comparison with Kickham. They have the parallel that they found their way back with the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Late season opportunity with the Red Sox.
The cutter curveball combination can really be a great combination for a left-hander, because you can project him not only as a starter if they have enough command to get righties and lefties out, but you can project them as a reliever. So a couple of paths for him to stick in the big leagues. Right now with the Dodgers, the way the rotation is looking, the rotation plus, when you look at the 7 or 8 candidates, I would think that Kickham is looking at being stretched out as a starter, I would think, maybe for backup there, maybe AAA. But then also you'd be able to fall back into a bullpen piece.
And that's kind of where they're leaning, is to extend him, and he's shown versatility throughout his career. So they know that he's the kind of guy who they can put in one role and then shift to another, because not everybody can thrive like that, going back and forth, not knowing exactly what their role is. But especially in a year like this, coming off a 60-game season, a pitcher's health and the ability to be versatile is going to be extra important. Just barely misses again, and the count goes full.
Both corners not open. The walk to Andrus, and then all of a sudden, that was from a pitch away that he didn't get rung up. Now that one into a righty doesn't get called. First game, how about a little something for the effort?
I know. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Throw from Barnes. Got him. And a strike him out, throw him out to finish off the first. So Pinder down on strikes, and then Barnes throws Andrus out, allowing Kickham to face the minimum here in the first inning. To the second we go in Arizona. No score. Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by the SoCal BMW Centers. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. So many great shots from Texas in the World Series, and all the emotion that came pouring out with the Dodgers finally capturing that World Championship since 1988. Back in Arizona, new pitcher already. James Caprillion comes into the game for Oakland. Former UCLA Bruin, who was a first-round pick in 2015 of the Yankees, and finally made it to the majors with a couple games last year.
You know, we had mentioned last inning about the rules. You can change after 20 pitches if you would decide to do that. You can mutually agree upon maybe we're only going to play a 5-inning game or a 7-inning game here early in camp. The reason they're doing that is because the minor league camp is not open, so you don't have the depth of talent in all the facilities to keep filling in as you move through. And if you get into a game or some innings that create some length, you always want to have that safety valve of those minor leaguers to be able to come in and cover. Well, that depth doesn't exist.
A.J. Pollock leads off this second for the Dodgers. Takes strike 1 from Caprillion. And now strike 2. And minor league camp is set to begin once major league camp finishes. Just has to do with social distancing and not want to have too many people in the facility. But it certainly does change the game planning and the way that you structure things for the games throughout spring training. So many of those games, the back half, it's nothing but minor leaguers. 1 and 2.
And I think people just crave baseball, and yeah, they know the big leaguers are going to be out early after 2, 3, 4 innings in the early games if you're buying tickets, and they know the big leaguers are going to play longer later in the spring, maybe 7 to 9 innings. You get to see your heroes. But a lot of people just love to see baseball, whether it's a AAA or a AA player on the field, somebody making their first pitch or at bat against a current big leaguer. It's quite a story to see.
You know what I love? I love to hear. I love to close my eyes and hear the pop of the mitt, the crack of the bat, the vendors, the fans, even if it's just 20% capacity, all the sounds of the game.
You're listening, and I was watching that hot dog.
Breaking ball a little bit low, and it's 2 and 2.
I'll move to another sense.
Yeah, that's not a sense you want to hear. You don't want to hear the hot dog. No.
I want to hear the onions crunching. Yeah. I want to wipe the mustard off the corner of my mouth.
Kill his mic. Pop up. Seth Brown is the first baseman. He's got it for out number 1. So Pollock retired, and it brings up Matt Beatty. That's such a fantastic debut in 2019. Last year, not quite the same. You only played in 21 games. You didn't play in a regular season game after September 6th. And had a few opportunities during the postseason, but faded from the role that he was in 2019. We'll attempt to recapture a more significant role. Strike one.
You know, one of the big league tools is the ability to have the mental endurance to get through a 162-game season. It's one of the separators that we'll see guys that can play for a month, but after that, they just tail off. They don't have the mental discipline or strength. I think Matt Beatty is that kind of guy. And so when you say last year was kind of a flat tire for him, I think more of, but we didn't get to see one of his tools, which is his ability to adjust, his ability to grind, his ability to really stretch it out. Just kind of like when we saw Mookie Betts didn't do well against left-handers last year. Well, he didn't have time to really show his dominance against them.
Yeah, there's so many things that through the 60 games, whether it's a number like you talked about against lefties or just the eye test, Beatty not being as big a part of things, you figure would have evened out with another 100 games. You'll never know. It's hard also to know what to trust when you look at the 60-game numbers. You got to take something from them. You got to learn something from what was produced. But what can you really trust when you're evaluating guys and looking ahead?
The spring training is usually trust the track record.
Beatty yanks one right side, off of the glove of a sliding attempt from Pinder and through. And I think aboard with one out.
I think Matt Beatty has established a kind of a track record of what we've seen. It's not a long track record, but it's one where I could take what he did last year and say, you know what, he's getting a mulligan for sure.
I believe that with big leaguers when they come into camp and all of a sudden they get off to a bad start, their spring's really flat. Management, they'll get removed from the roster. They don't, now he's a trade bait. No, it's trust the track record. These guys really understand how to get themselves in position every day, and you've got to give them the reps.
Dodgers have their first base runner of the game. Here's Edwin Rios. Take him in the dirt. Austin Allen smothers it, but Beatty will advance to second.
We are now getting used to Dodgers being very aggressive on the base path. That is not much of a ball in the dirt. Probably going to be considered a wild pitch. But boy, reading the trajectory of that pitch as it's in the air and getting that good secondary lead, and as the moment it touched the dirt, Beatty was off.
And a scoring position for Rios, who in 60 career big league games has hit a home run once every 10 at-bats. So, that's obviously a tiny sample, and this is just a fun note. It's not like a real note, but that's the #1 home run per at-bat ratio in Major League history.
Is it like Alonso and McGuire and Babe Ruth?
Yes, it's Mark McGuire, Pete Alonso, which is really impressive because he's played a couple seasons now, and then Babe Ruth.
Oh, my God.
All chasing Eddie Rios.
Exactly.
2-1.
A bigger, stronger Eddie Rios.
Somehow.
Yeah.
There was a ton of room for that, but he says change the routine, a little bit more stability work, and even with that, you normally don't associate stability work with adding strength and muscle, but he did add even a little bit more.
Depending on which fence you're going over, you only have to hit it 1 foot over the fence. So I think what he really is building that strength for is a more accurate lever system, not a more powerful lever system. If he can just get more contact, it's going to be loud.
On a 3-1 pitch, yanks a line drive down the line, base hit for Rios. Reed over to grab it. Beatty's headed for the plate. Throw is there. He's out. Buddy Reed with an outfield assist. Rios takes second. Great throw by Reed.
That's a nice line drive hit. They've got him played to pull. This is usually down the line for a double, but now with all the data, they've got Rios to pull. So Beatty with a good jump at second, but this is not just your typical ball down the line, score easy. He gets thrown out because of the great positioning and accurate arm of Reed.
Good to see Dino Ebel in midseason form working all the way to home plate there, by the way. Dino was almost to the dirt cutout around home. So it remains scoreless. Rios is second with 2 gone for one of the new Dodgers, Matt Davidson. Some time in the major leagues with mostly the White Sox, but he debuted with Arizona a few years back. Had a couple seasons of at least 20 home runs in Chicago, and then spent last year in Cincinnati. An 0-1. Davidson loads up and pops it up. Right field, Buddy Reed, who was responsible for keeping this game scoreless. The outfield assist, cutting down Beatty at home. And we go to the bottom of the second. 0-0.
Talk from Joe and Earl about hot dogs and food. Your favorite Dodger Stadium eats are available at home through Dodgers home plates. From Dodger dogs to garlic fries and nacho helmets, get a taste of the ballpark experience delivered on demand. Search for Dodgers home plates on Postmates and order your stadium favorites for the next game now.
Or would you sign off on her taking your promo reads?
It's a little tough, especially when it's one
subject.
about food.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
the pulled pork pierogi hoagie was flashing between.
We go to the bottom of the second. I might kick him after a scoreless first. Delivers ball 1. Mark Canha leading things off for Oakland. Then Moreland and Allen here in the second. One and 1.
If Kirsten walks the stands this year at all and visits any of the concession stands, we need to make sure that the leftovers after the hit come to the booth.
Let's make it happen. Canha rifles the ground ball to short. A couple of bounces. Seager's got it. Calmly throws him out. 1 away. Well, we're talking a little bit, Oral, about going from the 60-game season to 162. And that's going to be a big discussion in spring training as the year gets going. It'll probably die down, that discussion, a little bit early. But as we get into the middle part of the summer, when you get past the 60-game mark, that discussion's going to come up again.
Yeah, there's the general discussion and kind of the overlay of what the culture is going to be, but I think it's really going to come down to individual workloads, individual how they feel. There's always going to be some flavoring from the training department, from the front office on workload and what's going on, but the players in each of their individual pain tolerances, endurance tolerances, it's going to be very interesting, a lot of conversations, I think. And when you've got the player with the attitude of a bull in a china shop compared to the guy that's like, whatever you say, I'll do, those conversations are going to change in tone.
There's the pitching coach, Mark Pryor. 2-0 to Mitch Moreland. Spins in there for a strike, and it's 2-1. So you've got, one way of looking at it is these pitchers are going to be fresh. Nobody in baseball threw even 100 innings last year. But what kind of toll does it take going from roughly 10 starts in a full season back to making around 30? And then there's the other question of what about all these minor league pitchers who didn't have a season at all and who a lot of times teams like the Dodgers rely on to get cycled back in, or not back in, but become part of the big league equation at some point. 3-1. Strike 2 on Moreland.
And different for the Dodgers because they're planning on playing a very long season past the regular season. So you want the peak performance and the peak health to be at the end of the year. Whereas another organization who's like thinking, oh, we've got a chance to be 500, maybe be a wild card, they want to get off to a hot start. And they want to, if they do get off to a hot start, they want to continue to use all the pieces. And all of a sudden, those guys might hit a wall in August. The dog days might bite them.
Peter Gammons wrote a really good article on The Athletic and quoted Andrew Friedman quite a bit in it. He's talking about some of the challenges in this 162-game season following the 60-game season. Moreland slashes one to left off the end of the bat, and it'll dunk in for a base hit in front of Pollock. And Andrew said something along the lines of his biggest hope is that 5 years from now, we're not looking back on the decisions we made about pitchers' health and about players' health this year and regretting it. We're not looking at going from 60 to 162 as a moment that really hurt the sport.
That is completely an unknown, because really baseball has adopted the thoughts of the young phenom prospects that throw hard. We are going to ramp up slowly, whether it's in their minor league workload or they get to the big leagues early, and we're going to kind of, we can couch it as pampering, but really it's a plan for a young pitcher to keep him healthy, where to up the innings, up the workload slowly through about a 3-year process. Well, we don't know how a 60-game season is going to affect a 14-year veteran. We don't know how the drop in workload when you weren't even hurt.
Sharp ground ball, could be 2. McKinstry, Seager, double play. There to strike him out, throw him out to finish the first. Get a 4-6-3 to finish the second. Dodgers baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Carl's Jr. Feed your happy at Carl's Jr. with a big Carl or the really big Carl. It's an extra patty on that one.
We're talking about all the great images from October and from the World Series. Some of the best images for me are of that man right there, Clayton Kershaw, who finally got the World Championship ring in his 13th big league year. And it has been as fun as it was to watch him get it. It's been awesome to watch him enjoy what comes with it over the last few months. And he's even talked about how it lifted a weight off of him, and that he never would have admitted it before, but that there is some truth to it. As Jordan Weems comes in to pitch for Oakland, there's a great article that Jorge Castillo did where he spent some time with Clayton Kershaw this offseason and with the Kershaw family in Texas. And Clayton opened up about that, having felt the burden of having not won. And then the motivation to get back to work, Kershaw said, came from a different, more positive place this year. It's no longer from that burden and the pressure of having not won it, but now from a place of joy and a place of knowing that we're the best team and trying to double down because they're supposed to win again. Said it's an awesome feeling as Zach McKinstry gets ready to lead off this third. First one from Jordan Weems is a little bit outside, ball 1.
That was a very emotional shot of Clayton hugging Cody Bellinger. My favorite one of him is the 2 arms up in the air, coming from the bullpen, maybe catching a glance of Ellen in the stands and smiling. It's like after the burden has been released in that shot with Cody, it looks like he can feel the weight leaving his shoulders. The one with his arms up in the air, it's like he's realizing he's a champion and he's smiling.
McKinstry with a line drive, base hit to left center. Zach McKinstry in his first at-bat of the spring bangs a base hit to open the third. This is a guy who, as we talked about when we went through lineups, will be one of the topics of conversation this spring, trying to win a job, perhaps taking over Kike Hernandez's utility role.
You know what, that in the offseason and you're reading and you're studying or you're getting ready and excited about Dodger baseball, not the first name that comes to your mind, but if there's an image that comes to my mind about him, it's that swing right there. Just nice, a baseball player that knows how to put the barrel of the bat on the ball.
Leadoff man aboard for the powerful DJ Peters, who looks at a strike. DJ, a common presence in Dodger big league spring training the last few years. Just incredible power. The story with him remains trying to cut down on the swing and miss. Incredible power and an incredible athlete. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I don't know how he is with a basketball in his hand, but I would bet any NFL team would let him try out for tight end, defensive end. Speed, power, strength, height. He's got all the tools. And now trying to apply them to the baseball field, and especially with more contact.
And one of the great things about DJ is that he grew up a Dodger fan, went to Glendora High School, and appreciates the heck out of every minute, every day that he gets in the Dodger organization. And just a joy to be around. On a 1-2 from Weems. Peters watches it miss outside, and the count evens up 2-2. So he never played competitive football, even though it looks like he said could. He was a basketball guy in addition to baseball. Good take there. Runs the count full.
I am finally to the point now that I am used to catchers moving their glove on every pitch. It used to be you only saw that in high school and college, and he's like, it felt bush league. You know, big leaguers don't do that. And now with all the emphasis on pitch framing, you see so much glove movement of trying to steal strikes and make pitches appear to be strikes that aren't.
8 and 9 in the order reach against Weems to open this third for the Dodgers. The single from McKinstry, now the walk from Peters. And up comes Mookie Betts. Struck out his first time. Now officially beginning the Dodger portion of his contract, right? This is what was added on. The first of the 12 years that he added to his deal days before the start of last year. First pitch from Weems, up and in on Betts, ball one.
So Mookie, we're thinking about a 3-year deal. Well, I'm thinking about a dozen.
Yeah, right. Just times it by 4. And
okay, yeah, okay, a dozen will do.
Got him in a trade officially on February 10th. Remember, about a week before that, it was reported that the Dodgers had acquired him, and then some issues with physicals and Red Sox getting spooked about some things, which actually we found out later wound up being Bruce Stark-Gratterall. They didn't want included in the deal. Dodgers said, well, we'll take him, and did a deal on the side to get him. But they eventually pushed the deal through. Andrew Friedman in the Dodger front office was nimble enough to still make it happen. Got him into spring training, became a leader very quickly. And then the shutdown happens. Drives this ball in the air to right field. Playable for Buddy Reed in the first out of the inning. McKinstry tagging and advancing to third. Reed almost got his second assist of the game. But McKinstry in there safely, and they're at the corners.
It's time to push the envelope in spring training. You'll never know how far against a strong arm can I go and tag up. Well, you know the good arm. You know it's accurate. We've seen it already today. But Zach McKinstry now gathering some information for the regular season about his speed and jumps and if he can make it.
First and third with one gone for Seager. Reed making a nice early impression for the A's. Now back that discussion about Betts. So they get him into camp, right? They pull off the trade right before spring training opens. And then everything shuts down. And remember, there was a while there last summer where none of us knew if we were going to have a baseball season. There were some days where it seemed like there was a better chance that there would be no season than any season at all. And Betts still hadn't been extended yet. So the worst nightmare at that point was, my gosh, are we ever actually going to see Mookie Betts in a Dodger uniform? Now the first step was that they did get the season, of course, scheduled. And then the next step to ensure that we saw him not just last year but for a whole lot more was the 12-year extension that he signed and was announced the day before opening day. Through 2032. Gosh. 2-1.
Let's see if we can make it that far.
Seager's somebody who's getting not too far from having a decision to make in terms of his own free agency. Part of a loaded shortstop class coming up. 3 balls, 1 strike on him. 7th year with Major League time. Can you believe that? 7th year Corey Seager has played in the majors. Part of that is, he missed a lot of time with injury, and so that's made the 7 years seem like not as much. The first of those 7 was just the late season call-up. Full count. 7 years officially.
remember leaning on the railing in front of the Dodger Stadium, the home dugout, and there's Corey Seager, the first-round draft pick that they bring in to introduce and kind of see Dodger Stadium.
That was 9 years ago.
That's unbelievable. Did the same thing I remember with Walker Buehler, Julio Urias when he came and visited early on when they're minor leaguers.
McKinstry at third, Peters at second. Dodgers trying to get on the board first here in game 1 of spring training. Payoff pitch to Seager. He is lifted into center field. Laureano coming on. It falls in front of him. Base hit. McKinstry in to score. Peters stops at third, and Corey Seager's driven in the first run of the spring. And the 20% capacity as the MVP chant going.
Well, last year we got to hear the players through the field mics, a lot of the conversations and things. This year it looks like anybody who's a loud fan is going to have a microphone to use.
Well, he does have a pretty good spring MVP case. Leads the league in RBIs. 1. I guess there are other games going. Shouldn't make that assumption without checking. Here's Barnes, first and third, 1 out. And there's a strike from Weems. Barnes did some really good things last year. Took advantage of some increase in playing time when Will Smith went down with an injury partway through the regular season. And then a year after he was left off the postseason roster, he had his moment during the World Series. Swats a ground ball to second that knocks down Kemp, able to recover to go to second 1. And they turn it to first for a double play to end the inning. But the Dodgers get on the board. It's the bottom of the order that sets the table, and it's the reigning World Series MVP that brings home the first run.
We're on demand with MLB.tv online or on your favorite supported devices, as well as selected spring training games. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
After a couple scoreless innings from Mike Kickham, here's Edwin Uceta for his spring debut. Last pitched officially in 2019. Split between A-ball and Double-A and put up really good numbers in that season. And he's one of the guys that is a perfect example of what we're talking about. What does this year look like after not having a minor league season in 2020? He was at the alternate site for part of the year, but hard to replace a full, in the minor league's case, about 140-game season.
The young man has continued to build his velocity as he's gotten stronger and a little older. He can get it up to 93 to 95 miles an hour. The organization really likes what they see with him, also with the fastball and the changeup combination.
Bottom third of the order for Oakland. It's Buddy Reed to lead it off. A couple of nice defensive plays already, including an outfield assist. Fouls off the first one from Uceta. Reed just 25. He was the return in the Jurickson Profar deal from San Diego prior to last year. Profar has turned into an important piece for the Padres. This is a good player, good athletic player, but also Jonathan Mayo, who's MLB.com's prospect expert, says that Buddy Reed has plus personality. And so it's not just his ability as a player, but a great guy to have around. Waiting at an 0-2 from Uceta. In there for strike 3, and Uceta makes quick work of the first man that he faces.
A little bit of an optical illusion slider. This looks like it could be a hanger, but then has the nice sharp break at the end. A pitch with those kind of visuals, the other pitch that will finish hitters off with that breaking ball is going to be the high fastball, something he's looking for to get a little bit more consistent with.
Here's the 8-hitter Seth Brown in a 1-0 game, bottom 3. Uceta from the Dominican Republic, one of the smaller kids growing up, and you put those two things together. He grew up dreaming of being the next Pedro Martinez. Now his favorite pitcher, Walker Buehler.
1 ball, 1 strike.
That is a nice role model to have with Walker Buehler, not only because of the velocity and the stuff, but because of the reputation of being a great big game pitcher. So you're going to try and emulate, the toughness of your hero.
Line drive towards the gap in right center field. A base hit for Brown. Peters cuts it off, holds him to a single.
Number 5, Tony Kemp.
Speaking of Buehler, here comes one of his old Vanderbilt buddies, Tony Kemp. Second year with the A's. Started his career in Houston, time with the Cubs. Part of a battle for the second baseman spot. They're set it to Kemp. Strike 1. You mentioned Walker Buehler being such a great role model as a big game pitcher. His last 9 starts in the postseason, he's 3-0 with a 1.28 ERA.
It really seems like when the Dodgers' back is against the wall through the playoff years that Walker has been here, he seems to be the primary choice, right behind Kershaw or right with Kershaw. That's who you want on the mound.
Change up, 0-2.
Sweet changeup. He's got kind of a short stroke out the back as he separates his hand from his glove and kind of hides his arm behind his head. And then when you can come out with a slider, a changeup, and then the velocity that he's trying to maintain at 93 to 95, it's very tough on hitters.
Speaking of Pedro, huh? Using that changeup.
It was a little longer stroke there. That was a poor scouting report on me. I must have picked up half the delivery on the last pitch. But you do work on taking the ball out of your glove and making sure the hitter can't see it as it comes out and down the back of your leg. A lot of people do. Hitters will be looking for the flash of white, so that might be a heads up to a certain pitch that might be coming, or they might be looking for your fingers towards the direction of them. That might be another pitch that you could be throwing. And so hiding the ball as it comes out of your glove so that the hitter can't pick up that flash of information when the ball is going down before you start to deliver it to them can be a huge part of deception.
Ground to right side. Rio shifted over there, has it. Nice pivot. Guns to second one. Seager to first, a double play. Not too many more beautiful things in baseball than a nice double play turn. We've seen 2 of them over the first 3 innings of Game 1.
Sign up now to receive the latest team news and ticket information straight to your inbox. Register for Dodgers email alerts by visiting Dodgers.com/newsletter today.
Joe, Oral, and Kirsten here in Arizona as Danny Jimenez comes into the game for the first time. He's a former Giant, made his debut in San Francisco last year, just a couple of games, and now comes over to Oakland.
Kirsten's in Arizona.
She is, yeah, and we are, quote unquote, are as well.
Yes, virtually.
Yeah. Part of the order for the Dodgers. Pollock, Beatty, and Rios coming up here in the 4th. Dodgers got the game's first run last inning on a base hit from Corey Seager, bringing home Zach McKinstry, who'd started the inning with a base hit of his own. A.J. Pollock coming off his best offensive season. Really similar numbers to his All-Star year in 2015 with the D-backs, which was one of his only healthy seasons. And that has always been the thing. Anytime he's been consistently healthy, so solid.
All-Star and MVP caliber play when he's healthy.
Really. Yeah, there have been stretches.
Yeah. You just say, wow, this is a guy that can carry us. Boy, did he own lefties last year. He's a left-handed killer, fastball killer.
He had 16 home runs. That was 3rd in the National League. His career high in a normal season was 21, and he had 16 in the 60-game season.
Which is about 40-some.
Yeah, 43 home run pace.
Times 2.7, huh?
Mm-hmm. A mistake pitch that Jimenez got away with, popped into center and caught by Laureano.
That's one of those hangers that hangs just enough to jam
The hitter, where they're expecting it to break a little bit more to get it out by the barrel, but ends up closer to the label.
If you're going to make it bad, you better make it really bad, right? There's Beatty. It'll be interesting to see the way the new ball flies. And none of these guys are certain when the new balls are going to be the ones they're playing with. They don't know if they've been cycled in yet or if it was game 1 would be the first time. Because it's not like these balls are marked saying these are the dead ones. They all look the same. You can start to feel the difference, and you'll be able to see difference when the ball flies. But so far, through a couple weeks in spring training, the consensus is that you can't quite tell if it's different.
You have just put a conspiracy theory in my mind.
Oh, boy. That doesn't take a whole lot.
I know who does know which ones are delivered when. The clubhouse guys.
All right.
And so would you save certain ones for certain series and live ones for other series?
Cue shot to Andrews. High throw, but pulled down by Brown, 2 away.
I sure would be talking to my clubhouse guys, making sure the dead balls are in there on my 5th day.
Yeah, right. I mean, at some point, it's going to be all the new balls.
Yeah.
I more just meant they don't know when that transition is happening.
Right.
But yeah, I suppose you could go back and bring back some of the.
Oh yeah, the bats from last year are still in the clubhouse and have been sitting there through the winter, and they pull them out and go, yeah, I've got my bat order, I've got my fresh bat order, I've got my last year's bats. Guys will, depending on the finish of the bat, will worry about if they dried out over the winter, and they'll only want the fresh bats. Other guys are like, no, I've got, this kind of shellac on it, and it's sealed, and, I can use a bat that was 3 years old.
1 ball, no strikes on Edwin Rios. Singled his first time. So just for those of you that haven't heard yet, the new ball is intended to be a little bit less bouncy, intended to not fly quite as far. Basically what they've done is the wool in the core of the ball not quite wound as tightly.
So the size of the ball is the same, so not wound as tightly, so there's less wool in the ball. It have to be, you're not making it as snug.
It's all very incremental, all these little changes that have happened. But as a result of home run rate continuing to go up, 6 consecutive years, been a higher percentage of home runs. And the stuff that comes with that. The game, the way the game has changed around that trend. Strikeouts have been up every year since 2008. Obviously last year, that's just in terms of strikeout rate. At the entire number.
It's going to be interesting as the ball falls short of the wall from certain guys.
Look at this dead ball, barely making it to left. Canada's got it. And we got a discussion for you for the bottom of the 4th in a 1-0 game.
In all 3 innings so far, but strike them out, throw them out in the first, and then ground ball double plays in the second and the third. So the Dodgers have faced the minimum.
Yeah, the pitcher's best friend, that double play, and Austin Barnes throwing the runner out at second feels really good. When you can get these twin killings and shorten the innings, cut down on the pitch count, get you on to the next one, and increase your confidence. One of the better catcher ERAs behind the plate there with Austin Barnes, too, with the strength of that arm. Last year at 2.61, and really almost became Clayton Kershaw's personal catcher.
Latest man that he'll catch is Dennis Santana. Looks like he put on some good weight in the offseason. Always been wiry, but looks very well put together as he opens up his spring.
You're going to see a lot of movement from Dennis that we've seen him flash at the big league level.
Top of the order for the A's, Ramon Laureano chops the first pitch that he sees to the other side of the infield, but that's where the play finishes, so who cares? One away. All right, so we're talking about the ball. And there'll be plenty to talk about as we see the way the ball's working, but on a simple level, it's making the ball fly not quite as well. That's the goal. But the goal beyond that is there's a whole lot more to it, beyond the obvious of fewer home runs. I think the hope league-wide, as Andrus gets ready to bat, is that if the ball isn't quite traveling as well, there aren't quite as many home runs, that you'll see again more of an emphasis on contact and speed from an offensive perspective. You'll see more confidence from pitchers to attack, and so fewer walks, fewer strikeouts, more contact, more action. Not that homers are bad. As a tapper is put in play along the first base line, Barnes with a nice play to get him. 2 up and 2 down. Homers aren't bad, but action is good, and we just want more of it.
And I think there's going to be a certain level of talent that a player brings to the game that all of a sudden
that guy does not have the ability to hit the new ball, the deadened ball, for 25 to 30 home runs, that they start to fall short, and maybe that guy then adjusts to attacking the first pitch fastball more often, relying on and building a swing that maybe is a little bit more line drive oriented than fly ball oriented, which then is going to cause, like you say, more action.
Strike one on Chad Pinder. Hear about 3 true outcomes in baseball. Those are the home run, the walk, and the strikeout. And none of them are inherently bad. It's just we've gotten to a point the last couple of years where the rate of those is the highest it's ever been. Again, not inherently bad to have those things in the game, but anytime you have those, you don't have balls in play, which produces a lot of the excitement in the game. Santana looking for a 1-2-3 inning, fouled back by Pinder, and we'll do the 0-2 again.
It's a beautiful game, and I don't think anything is really going to ruin our love for baseball. And I think we've seen adjustments over the years in all kinds of ways, other than rule changes or equipment changes. We've seen changes just in philosophy on how to win a game, roles of players on a roster, pitching staffs, and starters and openers. So there are all these subtle adjustments that are happening just to make the game better, and they're tried
and they're tested, and then they're kept. The 3-batter minimum is back again this year. And of course, the intentional walk of you just can point and put a guy on to speed the game up.
Extra innings rule.
Yeah.
Runner at second. Pinder bangs one into the ground to short. Jacob Amaya replaced Corey Seager there. His high throws pulled down by Beatty, and through 4 innings, Dodger pitching has faced the minimum.
Series champions gear yet? The Top of the Park store is now open Tuesdays through Saturday at Dodger Stadium. See Instagram at Top of the Park for store hours and details and how to purchase your goods for home delivery.
You get it all delivered these days. You name it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hit a button, here it comes. You got some of the new world champion gear.
I feel sorry for the Amazon delivery guy at our house because Dana orders water. And she'll order like 5 cases at a time. I'm like, I don't want that delivery.
It'll get drank.
Order an Afghan or something lighter in a nice box and let the delivery guy have a break.
There's Domingo Acevedo, 6'7", 240-pounder. Who spent his entire career in the Yankees organization prior to now. Bottom part of the Dodge order, Matt Davidson leads it off. Look out. I mean, this has got to look like a monster standing on top of the mound if you're Davidson's looking out at him. And first pitch that he throws is up around the tower.
Flashes of J.R. Richardson back
even before I played. Wow. So if he can stride, let's say, a foot closer to home plate than somebody else, It's like 3 mile an hour reaction time to the hitter. So if the ball was coming actually at 90 miles an hour, it will appear to the hitter, if you can get a foot closer, like it's going 93. So when you have a pitcher that hitters come back and he's throwing 96, 97, they go, well, it's easy 96, 97. What they're meaning is they pick the ball up and maybe he's throwing it from a farther distance.
Cut off at third, and then Pinder throws him out.
And the other pitchers, Joe, or hitter comes back and goes, you know, it's only 90, but he's sneaky fast.
Yeah.
That guy's hiding the ball, and he's getting down the hill, and he's getting closer to the hitter. And so the reaction time for the hitter, even though the gun says 90, it feels like 93, and the guys come back going, it kind of jumps on you. You know, it's sneaky fast. You got to go up there and be ready.
And that is now known as perceived velocity, which can be measured based on a lot of those things we're talking about. Here's McKinstry. Singled and scored the game's only run. Lofted to center field, Laureano. 2 up, 2 down. You mentioned J.R. Richard back before you started your big league career. He was 6'8", and it was the slider that, on top of obviously the huge fastball, the slider that set him apart.
I got to watch him pitch when I was in Double-A, and I was making my way up to the big leagues, and he was trying to make his way back to the big leagues after some health concerns. But watching him in his prime next to Nolan Ryan and some others, boy.
He was an intimidating figure.
DJ Peters, with 2 gone and the bases empty, looks at ball 1. Richard pitched the 1980 All-Star game at Dodger Stadium, started it for the National League. He'd only pitched in 1 more big league game after that, and he was only 30 years old at that point. It was, you mentioned the health concerns. Freak health concerns, where soon after that All-Star game, he was pitching a side session in the Astrodome, and he started to sweat profusely, and then he collapsed. He'd gotten blood clots on the way to his brain that essentially almost took his life, but did eventually end his career.
Yeah, when I got to see him in Double-A and he was trying to make his comeback, you could just see that the coordination had kind of left him. The pieces of the delivery that used to be smooth, there was a lot of herky-jerkiness to it, and you could tell he had to think through a lot of things as far as movements. Without them, they didn't come naturally anymore.
3 balls, 1 strike on DJ Peters. Bases empty, 2 gone. 5th inning of the 7-inning spring opener. Sky high. Foul ground, first base side. It is a souvenir up into the 5th row of seats.
It's an interesting swing to watch right there. That ball is right down the middle. And DJ fouls it back, and that's the one where the growth needs to come. You know, sometimes we've talked about it with Nomar Garcia-Parra, our partner, and talks a lot about it's not the ball that you get out on, it's the one you missed earlier in the at-bat.
Winds up taking his 2nd walk and his many trips up there.
The walk is a positive. That is something that he'll go back and do some video study on and say, that's the one I've got to make sure I can hit. I love the walk. Got to walk my way away from strikeouts, but might get a lot more. Do some damage if I hit that one.
Luke Raley, who came into the game defensively for Mookie Betts last inning, has his first at-bat of the day and takes ball 1.
Sure was nice to see Corey Seager and Mookie Betts.
Raley carves out a fly ball to left. Marcana in the corner puts it away and sends this game to the bottom of the 5th with the Dodgers in front 1-0. Trying to open the spring with a win.
The 28 28th through the 30th of March, the Freeway Series. The Dodgers will be back in LA against the Angels. April 1st is opening day at Colorado. And then the 9th, the home opener versus Washington. The 15th, of course, Jackie Robinson Day. A lot of excitement around there. And then, of course, against the Padres. The 6th to the 18th, and then the 22nd to the 25th, the 4-game home series versus the Padres.
7 of the 19 between those teams this season, Kirsten, as Garrett Clevenger comes in, makes his first appearance in a Dodger uniform, a guy that organization's really excited about. They acquired him this offseason, made his big league debut last year with 1 game with the Phillies, where a left-hander is going to attempt to have an impact out of the bullpen for LA.
Both Kolarek gone and Ferguson coming back from some surgery. There's some need for some left-handed ability out of the bullpen, and they're hoping Clevenger can fill that role and be dominant.
4, 5, and 6 for the A's. It's Canada to lead things off. Dodgers 1, A's nothing. Dodgers getting a run in the 3rd on a Corey Seager single. That's ball 1 on Canna. Clevenger, a former Oregon Duck, and drafted by the Orioles in 2015. He went to the Phillies before the Dodgers got him this winter. Misses down and away, and it's 2-0. Originally from Lawrence, Kansas. Clevenger's 2-0. Fouled back, and it's 2-1. Some of the regulars, or at least the starters in today's game, starting to file out. And Kirsten's going to catch up with a few of those guys as the final few innings of this game go on. Again, this is just a 7-inning game. Three balls, 1 strike. Tomorrow's game, by the way, Trevor Bauer will start that for the Dodgers. That'll be 6 innings against the Rockies. The length of the games is decided between the teams, has to be announced about 24 hours before, not about, exactly 24 hours before. So fans know what they're getting, what they're paying for. Canna has the walk to open this 5th. All right, as promised, Zach McKinstry has come out of the game and is now with Kirsten.
Thanks, Joe. Zach, first and foremost, first game, spring training. How does it feel to be back out on the field with everyone?
It's awesome. It's a great feeling to be out here with fans, just feed off their energy and have a good time out on the field. Got to slide for the first time in about 5 months, so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Being labeled as such a utility player, what was your focus out here today, especially at bat?
Just try to hit the ball hard. I feel like I did that today. I just get some good swings early on in camp, and just try to get good pitches and have good at bats, hit the ball hard, walk, just have quality at bats and do my job.
Thanks so much, Zach.
Thank you.
All right, Kirsten, thanks to Zach for taking a minute as Mitch Moreland comes up, gets ahead, 1 ball, no strikes. Runner at first, nobody out, and there's ball 2. And McKinstry, a great story in that he went to Central Michigan, not really recruited much out of high school, growing up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then Dodgers draft him, but in the 33rd round. And what comes with being a 33rd round pick is that nobody pays a whole lot of attention to you. You've got to find a way to get on the field. You don't have a spot that's yours. Even if it's a ball, there's somebody who is drafted above you or who is paid a lot more money internationally that's going to have that spot. That one hits Moreland, and the first 2 reach here in the 5th. And so that's where the versatility came from. He was mostly a shortstop in college at Central Michigan. But to find his way onto the field, he started to learn to play other places. That's how he got noticed. Big picture by the Dodgers after they drafted him, how he really jumped onto the radar as a potential player. And it's how he's made his way to the major leagues and how he hopes to stick.
You just gave us the definition of prospects and suspects.
Yeah, as a 33rd round pick versus everybody else.
You're a suspect. You're an organizational player. A lot of the times you're getting drafted Yes, because of maybe some potential you have in a certain part of your game, but you're definitely not a 5-tool player. You probably don't even have a tool that is exceptional where the scout can pound the table for you. But the other thing that you usually are is you're a really good teammate, because all of a sudden you're going to take those 20th round to 33rd round draft picks, and you're going to put them next to your first and your second rounders, and you want solid citizens next to your prospects so that their life is kind of eased into.
First and second, nobody out. The hitter is Austin Allen as Clevenger tries to find it. Ahead of him 0-2.
McKinstry, when he starts doing things at the big league level, he's going to be a really good interview. He was giving a lot of detail from the questions from Kirsten. What are you trying to do out there as a utility player? He's going, I'm going to try and hit it hard. I'm going to try and make the plays. Slid for the first time. He's going to be a great interview.
How about the draft that he was a part of? 2016 draft for the Dodgers. Gavin Lux was 20th overall that year. Will Smith was 32nd overall. They got Dustin May in the 3rd round. They got Tony Gonsolin in the 9th round. And then, 33rd round, here comes Zach McKinstry. 0-2 from Clevenger. Spins to the top of the zone to get him for the first out.
Usually late round pitching has a better chance to make it than late round positional players.
Why is that?
Well, a pitcher, you might tinker with his mechanics, and all of a sudden he finds movement that he didn't have, or you might draft a guy with high velocity but no command, and you teach him how to throw strikes. But the late round position player, like you said, he's not going to have a whole lot of opportunities to start on an everyday basis when he gets to the minor leagues and get a lot of at-bats. He probably doesn't have that exceptional power tool. And so you are going to end up probably being a well-rounded utility player just because of the tool set you bring into the draft and then go into pro ball.
1 no strikes on Buddy Reed. Runners at first and second, 1 away. I wonder if that idea is changing, though, as you've seen more and more guys make complete overhauls with their swings, totally change who they are as offensive players.
Yep.
Where you could be a 33rd round pick and then turn yourself into a power hitter that had you hit like that when you were in college or in high school, you would have been a 3rd round pick.
Chris Taylor, Justin Turner, Max Muncy.
Just the idea that there is, once you become a pro, and even once you become a big leaguer, you're not done changing and evolving as a player.
Right.
And I think that there is much more of that mindset now than there was in the game 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago. Shot back up the middle. Waiting on it is Michael Bush. Feeds Amaya on to first late. And that corners are 2 away.
They're going to say safe at second on this play.
That's what I'm hearing on our effects field points.
Next time you might want to charge this ball a little harder. See, just stopping his momentum to get to that ball. It really should have been maybe an attempt at a 4-3 double play, not a 4-6-3 double play. So don't lay back on that ball.
Keep the momentum going into the bag so you're the one that can do it without an exchange.
And so bases loaded, 1 out, with them saying the runner at second was safe, that Amaya never got the bag. And the 8-hitter Seth Brown fouls off the first pitch.
Shoulder to mid. Shoulder to mid.
I don't know if you just heard that in the background.
Yeah.
That's the kind of conversations that happen
on a bench, or somebody making an out and going back to the on-deck circle.
Big bouncer to second. Bush does charge this one. Throw to first in time, and a nice play to get out number 2, but the A's tie the game as Canna scores from third. More aggressive on this one, Bush was.
Yep. He's going to charge this one all the way, and his only play is to first. He knows that. There's no way you're going to think about slowing down or laying back on that one unless you're just going to give up. You get a mulligan on effort and philosophy when it's the first game and you're out there in the middle innings.
Bush was a first-round pick a couple years ago out of North Carolina. Here's Kemp, second and third, 2 gone. Hacks the first pitch foul.
We saw a play at second base where Oakland ended up getting a safe call at second. Boy, that back toe of the right foot, we didn't go to the replay, but it looked like it might have brushed across the bag in time to record an out.
Wake up, New York. Send it there, Doc. Clevenger trying to limit the damage. 0-1 pitch. Boy, Cliff Barrett's been a little bit tight.
We got tight umpiring at second base. We got tight umpiring at the home plate, and I've given up a run. Come on.
Come on, guys.
We can laugh about it. It's not a laughing matter on that bump in the middle of the hill, or the middle of the diamond.
Ahead of Kemp 1 and 2 as he fished up for that one.
Come to a new club, have your first outing.
You want it to go smoothly. You don't want to walk around the locker room and your new teammates think you're not going to be a contributor.
Here he comes with a 1-2 pitch. Kemp. Hits it foul. Do it again.
I think that's where the phrase "wear it" comes from. You know, if you have a bad outing and you kind of wear it, and it's really good to have an outstanding culture like Dave Roberts has developed here where they feel so welcome and so comfortable. And Dave, if this is a rough outing, he'll find a way to get a smile out of Clevenger. He'll find a way to make him still feel comfortable in a Dodger uniform so he feels like, you know what, I'm not being judged every step I make around camp.
Oh, Teddy. Woo. 2-2.
Teddy better not ask for any autograph World Championship balls this year so far. Not going to get any favors.
Yeah. 2 on, 2 out, and a 2-2 pitch. Kemp got the barrel around to it, but pulled it foul. Gosh, you can even hear Dave Roberts.
Oh, I didn't hear him, but I will predict this is probably his last hitter.
And if so, it could be the end of the inning. It could on that a little bit earlier that they would pull the plug on the inning once it reaches 20 pitches. Good take, full count.
What a good way to pad your spring training record. You know, if the Dodgers ended up undefeated, it's a 1-1 game in the last game. Let's change. Probably that rule's going to disappear the last week or so of spring training. If you're just joining us and haven't heard about the new rule, they can shorten the games to 5 to 7 innings here early on, and they can also change the inning once the pitcher on the mound has gone 20 pitches or more.
The 24th pitch coming here from Garrett Clevenger.
It's a 3-2 to Tony Kemp. And a tie for ball 4 to load him up. Was that a one more hitter sign?
I guess so.
Bob Guerin and Danny Lehman flanking Dave Roberts. And some action down in the bullpen. Andre Jackson. Man, I know everybody at home hears the same thing we do. Ties him up, but misses in. Ball one. This is Vimael Machin. Two and up. Dodgers got their run in the third. Corey Seager singling home Zach McKinstry. A's have tied it up here in the fifth. Walked a man, hit a man, and then some call at second where they overturned it, saying that Jacob Amaya didn't touch second. If that out is called, then he's out of this inning, but it wasn't. Tying run came in, and they're still going. Bases loaded, 1-1, and a 3-0 count on Machin. Strike one. '29th pitch of this outing for Clevenger. 3-1 pitch. 3-2. A nice feather in his cap if he could work out of this.
It's a good battle. Battle back from 3-0 count here. Bases loaded. The inning hasn't gone as he's planned it all. Probably felt like he's gotten squeezed on a few pitches. Didn't get the call at second base. Has definitely had some hurdles to jump over.
Shot to third and caught with a backhand by Sheldon Noisy against his old team. Came over to the Dodgers in the Adam Kolarek deal just a few weeks ago. Makes a nice play to save at least a couple of runs right there. Tied at 1 after 5.
Access Sportsnet Dodgers, presented by your Southern California Ford dealers, follows. Spring training opener. The Dodgers are in Mesa taking on the Oakland A's, and tied at 1 as Ben Bracewell comes into pitch. 6 minor league seasons, still hoping for his first major league opportunity. You know, going into last year, he was right on the radar and hopeful that he would make his major league debut, but with a shortened season, never got that opportunity.
So now the 30-year-old from Birmingham, Alabama, tries to make his case again. Yeah, about 20% capacity. The sliding down the hill is not quite as fun of a ride right now at spring training. You got to stop yourself short. Hope you wore your spikes.
Dad, and if that's Grandpa, I think they're going to paint a square in their backyard.
Right.
Kids.
It's the most fun place. Rios grounds the first one off of Bracewell. 1 away. Or Zach Rex, beg your pardon.
Comebackers, that's one of the first things you get used to, and all of a sudden you get back into competition, the speed of the game. Every day, PFP, pitchers fielding practice, getting the comebackers, covering first, doing the bunt plays.
So here's Noisy, who made that nice play to finish off the bottom of the 5th. It's got to feel good for him, not just in his first game in Dodgers spring training, but doing it against a team that just traded him. 26 years old, originally a second-round draft pick of the Washington Nationals. Went to the A's in the same deal that took Blake Trinan to Oakland. He made his debut with a handful of games in 2019. Came to the Dodgers in the Adam Kolarek trade. Punches a bouncer to second. A little scramble for it and a late throw. Noisy's aboard with 1 away.
A couple couple of guys knocking some rust off here from the winter.
It's Pete Cosmos coming to the game at second.
Didn't give up on it at second, but it did take a long time to get it over there, but then we'll give up at first. No help over there.
Speaking of give up, are you there yet on your scorecard?
Yep. You know,
now,
the good thing is the pen ran out of ink.
Oh,
it's
perfect.
Dried
it's
up
on
from
the same
last
page.
year.
Jacob Amaya looks at a strike.
It's an old bat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, you got at that point, you don't even have to make an excuse for yourself. You can't possibly continue to keep score if the pen runs out of ink.
I got through 5. That's some endurance for the first game.
That's true.
Usually about 3.
And when you equate that to a 7-inning game in comparison with a 9-inning game, that's going deep, brother.
My calculations, that's over halfway.
It is, yes. You nailed that. First at bat for Amaya. It's a bouncer off of the plate to short. Allen will feed Cosmo for 1 on to first, a double play. That does it for the Dodgers in the 6th, a 1-1 game to the bottom half in Arizona. Bottom of the 6th inning, the Dodgers and the A's are tied at 1 on a 60-degree day with quite a breeze, 14 miles per hour, the wind at first pitch. This game will be 7 innings long, so reaching close to the end to it. Dave Roberts makes another pitching change, goes to Andre Jackson. A young pitcher the Dodgers are really excited about. 2019 was split between low A and high A, and then was one of the impressive arms at the alternate site last year.
He can top out in the high 90s, 97-ish. See if he can maintain that. There's a nice developing changeup that can really neutralize left-handed hitters, so you don't really worry about him if that pitch is in the arsenal. Can he go through a lineup against lefties and righties? Also has the curveball and the cutter, so quite the repertoire.
Beautiful day. A little bit breezy, but they packed in the 20%.
That wind is blowing the correct direction for a 1-1 game. The other way, we'd be looking at about 9-8 probably. Hello.
Yeah, when you're not in the sun, I bet it's pretty chilly there. Bundled up. Was it 60 or 6? He's not
a little
scared,
tougher.
though.
He's a little tougher. Shorts.
Nick Allen leads this inning off. Takes ball 1 from Jackson. One of those days where being in the sun makes all the difference.
And you can't move when you got these assigned seats in your pod.
Yeah,
like,
normally in spring training you go to where.
And you might say, you know, oh, I don't want to sit over there because I'll be in the sun. Now it's like wherever I sit, I got to stay.
Yep.
So I think I want the sun.
Yep. One ball, 2 strikes. Nick Allen leading off this 6th for the A's. Jackson comes home and bounces it 2-2. Jackson's all right with a little bit cooler weather, relatively cooler weather. Pitched his college ball at Utah.
Oh, yeah.
Arizona native, but went up to Utah for college. It's a good baseball program they have there in the Pac-12.
The hair gets a little longer. He's going to have to go to a man bun or something so it doesn't come around in his eyes.
It's on a windy day like this.
Yeah.
Love the look. 2-2. Full count.
I don't think I could pull it off.
No, I don't know that I want you to try, brother.
Some good coaching from a fan in the stands there. Put him away, don't put him on. I like it. Don't walk him, but don't give him anything too good to hit.
Right. Thread that needle, buddy.
Put it right in there. He's attacking. 3-2 coming right after him. He can average around 93 miles an hour, but as you watch these younger guys get stronger and stronger and refine their mechanics, and you see some top end pitches at 97, 98, you think, if it's completely refined, can he repeat that?
He gets it by him for the first out of the 6th.
I would suspect that he has a very high spin rate. That ball held its trajectory for a long time. Gets the swing and miss at the top of the strike zone.
1-1 game, bottom of the 6th inning. Yeah, here's Greg Dykman. Jackson at Utah was more of a position player than he was a pitcher. When as an outfielder, started right away. He started to see some time pitching and then underwent Tommy John surgery while he was there. Two and 1.
Arms that come from chillier areas that have shorter seasons, and those arms are a little fresher because they don't get the wear and tear of the longer schedules and the hot weather where games aren't lost. Less reps, so sometimes it takes a little bit longer for those guys to develop in the minors and refine their mechanics because they've had less reps and haven't put it together. But
breaks a bat on a 1-hopper. 2 gone in the 6th.
Looks like an electric fastball. The location has not been precise. It's been up and kind of middle of the plate where you'd think the hitters could feast on it, but they're not barreling it up at all and actually getting it by people.
Remember last spring training, Cody Thomas stealing the show for the Dodgers, hit a couple home runs in one game, robbed a home run. Well, he was part of that trade that got the Dodgers Sheldon Noisy and sent Adam Kolarek to Oakland. Also sent Cody Thomas, and here he is here taking strike 1. Reaches high as AA in the Dodgers system. Can't lay off. 0-2. Former Oklahoma quarterback Cody Thomas did both there. Obviously eventually chose baseball.
As talented as the Dodgers are, sometimes those great performances don't lead you to playing with the top organization because they're already full with talent, but you become a piece and get an opportunity somewhere else. That's what Cody's looking for.
You figure as much as he enjoyed being part of the Dodgers, a trade like this you're probably okay with. You like this.
Welcome it.
Much cleaner of a path to where you want to go.
Yeah, there's no hard feelings. I would think he would think, you know, thank you very much for allowing me to get away from the roadblock.
Oh-2 from Jackson. Ground ball right side. And a 1-2-3 inning for Andre Jackson. To the 7th in a 1-1 game.
Last hacks for the Dodgers in a game that, if you happen to just be joining us, will only be 7 innings. Many of them will over the first couple weeks of spring training, anywhere from 5 to 7 innings. Argenis Angulo comes on. Angulo. Got it? Argenis Angulo.
You took the first shot at it.
I did.
I'm not going to take any.
Yeah, it's probably smart. It was in my job description. I had to give it a shot. Tim Fedorovich. It's not an easy one either. Back with the Dodgers. Started his career with the Dodgers years ago and has bounced around. Now veteran, 33 years old. Will Smith talked yesterday about how he's enjoyed learning from Tim and the way he goes about his business. After those few years with the Dodgers early on, he bounced from the Cubs to the Giants to the Astros to the Reds. Most recently with the Texas Rangers in 2019.
And then signed with the Dodgers this offseason.
So Joe, if it was 2-1 right now, Oakland's winning and the Dodgers are trying to come back. And it was bases loaded, 2 out, and your pitcher had just thrown the 20th pitch.
Yeah.
Change sides, we win.
Yeah. Sorry, bye.
Game over.
1 and 2.
Just another way to win a game.
And again, just to reiterate, that is only spring training.
Can you imagine the booing in the ballpark?
Yeah. Apparently, it already happened today. I want to
really?
say the Phillies game in Florida. They pulled them out of a juicy situation like that, and the crowd did not like it. Flied into the sunshine, and from right field, Blakeman comes on to catch it. 1 gone in the 7th. What a sight.
Yeah. The sounds and the smells and the look of baseball. Wow.
The sounds of the hot dog.
That is now an inside joke from 6 innings ago.
Yeah, they're all in on it too. Michael Busch. Good sound, but a little under it.
And don't forget the 30-mile-an-hour wind blowing in.
Yeah, that'll help knock it down as well. Quickly 2 out. 30 miles per hour now, huh?
Well, I don't know.
From a breeze to a tornado.
Was it 17 before?
13.
13.
Went up by 17.
Stop correcting me.
No, I wasn't sure. Wind can whip out here in the desert. One more trip up there for Matt Davidson, 0 for 2 in his first game of the spring. Big time power Davidson's got. Twice he's hit more than 20 home runs in a major league season for the Chicago White Sox. Never has he seen a wind like this, though. Thank you for making me feel like I'm there by ruffling the sheet in our closet here in LA. Yeah. Breaking ball, a little bit outside, ball 2.
I'd say it's about a 2-club win. Unless you're used to playing in Florida and Texas and Arizona in the wind, then you've grown up knowing how to play golf and some tough wind.
3 balls, 1 strike on Davidson.
So 4 outs to go in this game. Does it feel like you're getting ripped off, or you've enjoyed baseball today? And
I feel like I've gotten plenty to get the spring going.
I like it.
How about you?
I know. I like it a lot.
So the right length. Because, okay, the bummer would be if there were a bunch of minor league players who were getting robbed of opportunities in big league spring training games here, but they're not there. Their spring training doesn't begin until major league spring training ends. And so if everybody's getting the amount of work in that they want, works for me.
I feel like I'm in a college doubleheader.
That ball is hammered to left center field. Did he break it through the wind? He did. Home run, Matt Davidson. 13 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, 2-club wind, 3-club wind. It didn't matter. He pummels a home run to put the Dodgers in front in the 7th.
He got on top of a high fastball and did turn that wind around. Live ball, dead ball, home run ball. In the nick of time with 2 outs in the 7th, getting late.
Early. People out there like, can I leave my box to catch it?
Yeah, that's right. You need to give that ball back. You left your box.
So the Dodgers are their first home run of the spring. It comes from the new addition, Matt Davidson. Their first hit since the 3rd. James Outman, the hitter, ahead in the count 2-0. 23-year-old out of Redwood City, California, reached as high as A-ball in 2019. Pops this one up. See what the wind does with it. And foul ground left side. Oh boy, what a catch! Good work by Nick Allen to track that thing and make the play to finish the inning. But the Dodgers take the lead on Matt Davidson's home run. It's 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Dodgers in front 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Final half inning of this one. And Michael Grove to handle it for the Dodgers. 2nd round pick out of West Virginia a few years back.
He can run it up there with his 2-seamer and his 4-seamer, close to 95 miles an hour. He'll average around 93. He's got curveball, the slider, and the changeup. And definitely somebody, if you're A-ball pedigree, it's really hard to say because maybe he would have ended up in Double-A or even Triple-A if we would have been playing a normal minor league season last year. But this is definitely a prospect in the Dodger organization that they are very high on.
They drafted him right around the time that he was rehabbing from Tommy John surgery. This was one of the top prospects in all of college baseball. Tommy John surgery, so they took a bit of a chance taking him in the 2nd round. Yeah, made his pro debut a year after they drafted him in High A Rancho 2019. Starts to make his case here in spring 2021. 2-1 Dodgers, bottom of the 7th. Last chance for the A's, and strike one. This is Tyler Soderstrom. Swinging and missing. Grove quickly ahead 0-2.
Over the top delivery. Looks very athletic, getting down the mound.
Two. Breaking ball falls out of the sky to get him. One away in the 7th.
Outstanding breaking ball right there. He has both the curveball and the slider. You could grade that either way. A big slider with downward motion or a curveball. I like that out of the fact that you can live at the top of the strike zone with a heater, your 4-seamer, and then be able to drop that one down.
One gone for Carlos Perez. 2-1 game, bottom of the 7th. Spring schedule continues tomorrow as the Dodgers and Rockies play. And Trevor Bauer makes his spring debut.
It will be fun for the fans to see Trevor Bauer and his enthusiasm and passion for the
game in a Dodger uniform.
Reigning Cy Young Award winner. The season he had, albeit a short one with Cincinnati. Had a 1.73 ERA to lead the league. He had the lowest batting average in the league against Yeah, actually tied for the lowest for him too. He didn't hit, so. 0-2 still. He's number 2 in strikeouts. Only Jacob deGrom had more. How about this? In 12 starts last season for Trevor Bauer, in 6 of them, he had 10 or more Ks. And the big thing was that he didn't walk guys at a high rate. The year before, he had one of the highest walk rates in the league. Last year, 7th best.
Ready Grove to Perez with the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball to right center field. Luke Raley settles under it for out number 2. You got the wind, and the sun is at a tough spot right now, the way guys are looking up there.
Out away from a big league spring training save. Something you definitely get on the phone with your family and friends and get congratulated on.
Buddy Reed with the bases empty and 2 out. Off-speed pitches in there. Strike 1 from Grove. Reed had an outfield assist earlier today. It's already making the rounds on social media. Oh, and 2. It's been a nice mix of pitches.
He's shown command of 3 good pitches so far with the slider and the curveball and that fastball. I really like the fact that here he is in the first outing and he's attacking the strike zone.
0-2 from Grove. First of 29 spring games, and then opening day on April 1st in Denver. They've already announced there'll be some fans there. That's a huge ballpark, so that'll be a lot of fans. I think a 20 or 25% capacity they're going to have at Coors Field. So that's in the neighborhood of 10 to 15,000. He chases a fastball up, and Grove with a strikeout to finish off a 2-1 win for the Dodgers here in the spring opener.
Dodger pitching staff looked very good today. That 1 run by Oakland was unearned. They hadn't given up a hit since the 3rd inning, so finished very strong.
2 on the final score. Corey Seager with an RBI single in the 3rd, and then Matt Davidson, what proves to be the game-winning home run in the 7th. We'll be with you tomorrow again when the Dodgers face the Rockies. Sportsnet LA coverage will begin at noon. AM 570 will start with Morongo Casino. Dodgers on deck at 11:30 when the Dodgers host the Rockies. For Hershiser, Kirsten Watson, the rest of our crew, Joe Davis saying so long from Arizona. Stay tuned on TV for Access Sportsnet Dodgers, presented by your Southern California Ford dealers.